Well, now for more on what this day means for Zimbabweans, Dewa Mahvinga, Director of Southern Africa Human Rights Watch, joins us via Skype from Johannesburg. And here in studio, Blessing Zulu, VOA's Zimbabwe service reporter. Welcome to both of you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Vincent.
Emmerson Mnangagwa, now as president, says he's committing himself to serve all Zimbabweans. What else stood out in that speech that makes people, makes you think, well, this is something different, this is a new day, new dawn?
Of course, in his speech, he was hitting the right notes in as far as bringing all the parties together. Remember, there were fights not only with the opposition, his ruling ZANU-PF party and the opposition, but also internal fights within the ruling ZANU-PF itself. So Zimbabwe is a divided nation, and of course, Mr. Mugabe had presided over the nation for 37 years. Give him credit for some of the things that he did as the founding leader of the country, but there were also some omissions. But as he left, the country was divided along party lines, factional lines in his ruling ZANU-PF party. So by calling upon all Zimbabweans to unite and work together, I think that was very, very significant.
How about the fact that he actually said there had been errors during Mugabe's rule, but we know that you cannot separate him from Mugabe.
That's very true, because in that speech, he said Mugabe is his mentor, Mugabe is his father, so he was very much a part of this system. Remember, he worked with Mr. Mugabe since 1976, first as his personal bodyguard, and then later in Mr. Mugabe's cabinet, responsible mostly for security ministries. So I think he's very much a part of the Mugabe regime.
Yes, there was also the other aspect of reconciling, the Zimbabweans so that he can have a nation that is united. But we've also had reports of some officials being tortured. For example, Minister of Finance Ignatius Chombo. How credible are those stories, and what can that kind of situation kind of lead to, especially at this very critical time?
Shortly before coming on air, like 10 minutes ago, I spoke to Dr. Chombo's lawyer, Professor Lovemo Maduku, and he was confirming those reports that Dr. Chombo was blindfolded for a week. He was tortured by the military, and last night he was handed over to the police. Now he is in hospital under police detention and is expected to appear in court tomorrow.
What were his crimes?
Of course, remember when the military moved in, they said they want to remove what they called criminal elements around Mr. Mugabe. So he was one of those, including, of course, the Higher Education Minister, Professor Jonathan Moyo, and a local government minister, Sevia Kasukuwere. Those two were lucky to escape because they rushed to Mr. Mugabe's private residence, the so-called Blue Roof, in Harare. So when the military was negotiating with President Robert Mugabe to step down, I think one of the requests by Mr. Mugabe was for Moyo and Kasukuwere to be allowed to leave the country. So they were lucky, but of course, human rights lawyers are saying that there are quite a number of people who are in detention. I managed to talk to Mr. Mugabe's nephew, Patrick Joao. He was the Minister of Labor, and he was telling me that he had heard that over 100 people had been detained, and he was talking about some people having been killed, but we cannot independently confirm that.
Yes. So now, I don't know if we have Dewa. He's been trying to kind of join us from Johannesburg. Dewa Mahvinga, do we have you? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Okay, now let's get your thoughts first about today's inauguration of Mr. Mnangagwa, but also those reports of people being tortured, people having been detained, of course, by the military, and what Mr. Mnangagwa can do to change the image of Zimbabwe going forward.
Well, clearly, Mr. Mnangagwa's speech at his inauguration was focused on the international community, on investments, on business, on the economy, but not so much on reforms, on human rights, and certainly nothing at all on the people who were arrested by the military, detained, beaten up, and tortured between November 14 and today. Human Rights Watch, we have spoken to a number of these individuals, their families. Their homes are under military siege as we speak. A number of them are in hiding. Armed soldiers are still going to their homes, ransacking, destroying property, destroying vehicles, beating up people, torturing people, allegedly to find information. But Mr. Mnangagwa has not directly addressed these issues. It shows clearly that this is a continuation of military rule with Mnangagwa now as leader. And he has said next year there will be elections as scheduled, but that is really worrisome because we see that there is no change.
But very quickly, I mean, we can say he just became president. Perhaps we can judge him from tomorrow onwards, right?
Well, but he is fully aware of the military positions and what the military has been doing, because he said when he was out of the country, he kept in close contact, and he's aware that there are people who were picked up, a number of people from the other security forces branches, like the Central Intelligence Organization, the CIO. A number of those people were thought to be loyal to Mugabe and were handed down, locked up, beaten up, and tortured to disclose what plans were there, what were the sources of financing for the G40 faction, and things like that. And Mnangagwa is fully briefed, but he pretends to the world that perhaps he does not know what's happening. And that is worrisome, because for a fresh start, to make a clean break with Mugabe's legacy, there is need for Mnangagwa to open up. And also you could tell from his speech that he has no intention really to embracing the opposition or to have some kind of coalition government. So we are really business as usual. It's not a fresh start for Zimbabwe.
Wow, well, we'll be watching very closely to see how things move on. I want to thank you very much, Dewa and Blessing, for joining us today and giving us those insights.